So the first component we're going to mark out is our fuselage. So the first step we need to take is mark our face side and our face edge. Our face side will be represented with a 6 and our face edge will be represented with a V. These are our datum lines now, and these are what we're going to work off of for all our measurements, along with the end here. So our next step is to mark our joint positions. So starting from the datum on the left hand side, place your ruler against the end and we'll mark our lengths. So our first length is 20, 90, 110, 140, 176, and 220. So we need to square these lines all around the piece, and to do that we will use a tri-square. So any marking out tools that we will use will either be used off of our face side or our face edge. So square these lines all around, keeping the stock of your tri-square against the face edge. Squared line. To prevent the stock going too far out over the end, we can just flip it around and continue marking our lines. So we'll mark these lines all around our piece. To make it easier for ourselves, we can put little marks where the lines are so they're easier to see. So continue marking this round. With our stock up against our face side this time. Keep it held tight against the timber as well to stop it from slipping. And finally just the underneath side, so we can mark our lines here again. So this is our datum edge here this time again. There. We have our lines marked all the way around now, and because excuse me, we're using two edges as datum edges, our lines will square perfectly around the piece, as you can see. So our next step is to mark our joint detail. So we're going to start at the front. This here is the front, where our propeller would be. So we're going to work back. So our first step is to mark the joint detail for the front wing, the bottom front wing. So if you look at your working drawing, you can see that it's 34mm from the face side. So I had this previously set up to read 34mm. So what we're going to do is the stock here, place it against the face side and just draw a line through between each line, each shoulder line here. So we can go over slightly heavier again, and we can flip it around and do the exact same thing. And we can draw in a line here then, just to highlight it, so we'll know. So that's the trench marked out now for our front wing, the bottom front wing. So our next detail then is to mark the base of the cockpit. So we know that it is located here from the working drawing, somewhere in here. So we need to get our marking gauge again. And this time from our face side it's coming down 20mm, which I have previously marked here. So you can see that it's 20mm from the stock to the point of the spur. So same again, against the face side, and we can draw in our line. Flip it around again, and we can draw it in again. So now we have two parts marked. We have our housing joint for the front wing, and we also have the base of the cockpit marked here. So our next step is to mark the trench for the rear wing. In order to do this, we need a mortise gauge. So we're going to set the mortise gauge up here now. So from our drawing we can see that to the very bottom shoulder line it's 34mm, and it's 24mm to the top, which means there's a 10mm trench. So to set this up, double check it again. So 24mm and 34mm marked there now. So we know from our working drawing that this is located here. It goes around the back here and here. So from our face side again, same procedure for using the marking gauge. Just draw our lines in. We can line that up as well. For the end grain, we can go over it a couple more times because the end grain is slightly harder to mark than when marking with the grain. So we've most of it marked out now, just to do the final end piece here. And line it in again. So we have our trench for the rear wing mark now as well. So our next step is to mark the trench for the rear vertical stabiliser, so we know that that's located up here. So we'll get our mortise gauge again and we'll set it up to suit. So we know that from the face side it's 17mm, and then our next line is 27, giving a 10mm width for the trench. So set it up so that it reads 27 . So you can see there now, we're slightly off, so we must mark it again. We're 1mm off. And we tighten it up the back, so double check it again. So we have 17 and 27. So we know this housing for the rear vertical stabiliser is located on the top here, and it comes down the side, the end here. So from our face edge we can mark it. And we can also mark here. It comes down 15mm here, so we mark from 15mm up. So now we need to get our marking gauge and set it up to 15mm. So double check it again. Yeah, that's 15mm. So we need to mark the end here from the face side. We need to mark 15mm. Then now that trench is marked out. So what we left to mark now is the bottom here for the axle support, which is located directly below that. So an easy step to do here is we can remark it from the top face side here. So by placing our stock against the face edge, yes, we can set it up that it reads the same again. So we can flip it around and we can mark it from our face side. Line that in. And we know from our working drawing that it comes down 5mm here, so we can just mark down 5. And we know as well from the working drawing that its distance down on the end here is 39 from our face side. So the depth of this trench is 5mm, but as we're marking from our face side, we mark down 39mm on our marking gauge. So we'll set this up again. So double check that for accuracy, 39mm. And from our face side, we can mark in for the base of our trench. So we're up to this part now. So we've most of this marked out. What we need to do now is to mark the detail for the cockpit. Now we're going by a working drawing, we can see that the angle here is for 135 degrees coming up. So what we're going to do is set it up so that our sliding bevel will read 45 degrees. So I previously have drawn this out. So we can see here that if we take a distance and have the same distance going perpendicular to it, it'll create a 45 degree angle. So that's what we need. So we'll set this up. So tighten it once you've it set up, and just double check to make sure that it is reading 45. So that's reading 45 degrees now. So we need to draw a line from here to this point here. So from this point here to the point on top. So keeping our stock against the face side, line up your points here and here and just draw in your line. And repeat the process on the other side as well. So there's one more piece of information we need to mark, and that's our centre point on the very front for the axle, the propeller axle. So in order to do that, we need to mark the diagonals. So make sure that you have the two opposite corners lined up. Draw in our centre line. So that we have one part. Repeat the same process again. I'll just bring it closer here so you can see better. So two diagonals. So by joining both diagonals from here to here and from here to here gives us our centre point. So there's one more step left, and that's to mark an X where all waste material needs to be removed. So we'll start on our face side, so we know our cockpit here needs to be removed. Face edge here. Also the trench for the front wing, and this trench here at the back for the rear wing. Opposite side. Underneath for the front wing. For the rear support axles, marking X here, all across the ingrain here needs to be removed. And for the rear vertical stabilizer, so just there's one little bit left here to mark in. So now we've completed the fuselage. So from the front is marked to the very back, all the detail is marked.